You know what's crazy? Only 0.03% of cars ever make it to 300,000 miles. But today, I'm sharing the exact secrets that'll get your car there. And no, this isn't your basic change your oil advice. Look, I get it. Your car's hitting 150,000 miles, and everyone's telling you it's time for a new one. But here's what dealerships don't want you to know: with the right maintenance tricks, your car can easily last twice that long, and you'll save thousands in the process. Whether you're driving a Toyota, Honda, or even a luxury car, these methods work. I've used them to help hundreds of cars hit that 300,000 mile mark, and today I'm showing you exactly how to do it. First up is something I see people mess up all the time: basic engine oil care. Look, your engine has thousands of metal parts rubbing against each other at super high speeds. Without oil, they'd melt together in seconds. But here's the thing, folks. It's not just about preventing metal-on-metal contact. Your engine's advanced systems, like those variable valve timing cam phasers, depend on clean oil to function. These aren't your grandpa's simple engines anymore. When oil gets old and dirty, you know what happens to those cam phasers? They start making this awful rattling noise on cold starts. Sounds like you've got a pocket full of quarters in there. That's because they can't build up enough hydraulic pressure with that thick, contaminated oil. And those hydraulic lifters, man, they're even more sensitive. When oil gets dirty or breaks down, these lifters can't maintain proper pressure. You'll hear this distinctive ticking sound, tick, 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 especially when the engine's cold. That's your first warning sign that something's wrong. See, in modern engines, that oil flows through a complex path. It starts at the top, trickling down through your camshaft galleries, flowing through your timing assembly, and eventually making its way back to the oil sump. And get this, about a third of used cars out there with timing chains are already showing problems, mostly because people slack off on oil changes. When that oil gets dirty, it's not just floating around harmlessly, it's wearing down your timing chain, your tensioners, even those plastic guides that keep everything aligned. And when you're changing your oil filter, don't just screw on a dry, empty one. Fill it with fresh oil first. Why? Because when you start your engine with a dry filter, all those moving parts in your engine are running without proper oil pressure for a few seconds. In those few seconds, metal is grinding against metal. Do this enough times, and you're looking at serious engine wear. Now, you'll want to change your synthetic oil every 5,000 to 10,000 miles. Check your manual for the exact number. But here's the really important part: keep track of how much oil your engine uses between changes. If you're having to add more than a quart every 1,000 miles, something's wearing out inside. And here's another thing: if you're driving an older car, stay away from those engine flushes. They'll knock loose all the gunk that's actually keeping your old seals from leaking. In fact, many experienced mechanics warn that this sludge acts as a filler that protects seals and gaskets in older engines. When you flush it out, you're asking for trouble. Suddenly, you've got oil leaks, smoking issues, and maybe even clogged oil passages. The second major maintenance secret is all about transmission fluid. This is where most people mess up big time, especially with all these manufacturers claiming lifetime transmission fluid. Let me tell you, there's no such thing as lifetime fluid, despite what Lexus, BM, Mazda, or any other brand tells you. Your transmission fluid needs changing every 60,000 to 100,000 miles, but many experts actually recommend doing it sooner, around 40,000 to 50,000 miles for optimal performance. And here's something manufacturers won't tell you: when they say lifetime fluid, they're usually just talking about the warranty period or what they expect the first owner to keep the car for. They're not thinking about those of us who want to keep our cars running past 150,000 miles. But here's the trick: don't let shops do a complete flush on your high-mileage transmission. Here's why: when you've got a transmission with lots of miles, those metal particles and clutch material in your old fluid are actually providing necessary friction. A complete flush can wash all that away, leaving you with a slipping transmission or worse. Instead, here's what the pros recommend: go for what's called a drain and fill. It's gentler on your transmission and much safer. Do it in stages. Drain some old fluid out, put new fluid in, drive for a week mixing city and highway driving, then repeat the process 2 or 3 times. This way, you're gradually refreshing your transmission fluid without shocking the system. But what if your transmission fluid has never been changed? and you're way past 100,000 miles. This is where it gets tricky. Check your fluid. If it's dark but your transmission is still shifting fine, you might want to try a single drain and fill. But if you're already experiencing hard shifts or stuttering, you might be better off leaving it alone until you're ready for a rebuild. The third secret focuses on your cooling system. Replace your coolant every 50,000 miles. But here's what most people don't know: mixing different types of coolant is like mixing bleach and ammonia. Just don't do it. Check your owner's manual and stick to exactly what it says. Also, replace your radiator cap every second coolant change. They lose pressure over time, just like a pressure cooker with a bad seal. And here's something I do with every car in my shop. Test the coolant's pH level once a year. Acidic coolant means your engine's corroding from the inside. By the time you notice symptoms, it's usually too late. Let's talk about fourth secret, which is brake fluid safety matrix. This is something most people completely ignore until it's too late. Brake fluid is like a sponge for moisture. Every time you open your hood, it's absorbing water from the air. After about 2 years, that moisture starts eating away at your brake components from the inside. I test every car's brake fluid that comes into my shop using a moisture tester. Once it hits 3% moisture content, it's time for a change. Don't cheap out here. Use only the DOT-specified brake fluid for your vehicle. And here's a mistake I see all the time: never ever reuse old brake fluid after bleeding brakes. That's like putting dirty oil back in your engine. Number 5 is Power Steering Protection Plan. The maintenance is relatively simple and inexpensive, with fluid costing around $10 per liter. Based on expert recommendations, you should consider changing the fluid every 30,000 to 45,000 miles. Though opinions vary widely, your power steering fluid should typically be clear or yellow when fresh, and it will turn red and eventually brown as it ages. If you notice your fluid is discolored or burnt, that's a clear sign it needs changing. Regular maintenance is crucial because while power steering fluid changes are inexpensive at around $20 for a flush, neglecting it can lead to expensive repairs. A steering rack replacement can cost around $3,000 to $5,000. I suggest using a turkey baster or pump method to refresh the power steering fluid periodically, which helps maintain fluid quality. Now, the sixth secret is something that almost everyone forgets about: differential fluid. Most manufacturers recommend changing it every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. But here's the catch: if you use your vehicle for off-roading, towing, or carry heavy loads, you'll want to change it more frequently, around 30,000 miles. Hot weather conditions can also necessitate more frequent changes. If you've been driving through deep water that could submerge the differentials, you need to check and potentially change the fluid sooner. Sudden temperature changes from a hot axle in cold water can create vacuum conditions that let water in. Here's how to know if you need a differential fluid change. Check the color and smell of your fluid. You can do this by removing the fill plug and using your finger to assess the fluid's condition. If it looks dirty or contaminated, don't wait for the full interval. Watch out for the formation of a milkshake mixture, which indicates water contamination, and look for any metal shavings in the differential fluid. These are clear signs you need a change. The seventh big secret I'm going to share might save your engine's life. It's all about the timing belt. Let me tell you why this is so crucial. Your timing belt synchronizes your camshaft and crankshaft, making sure your engine's valves open and close at exactly the right moment. If it fails, your valves can actually collide with your pistons, and that's a repair bill you don't want to see. Here are the warning signs you can't ignore. First, listen for any ticking sounds from your engine. That's often the first red flag. Watch out for oil leaks near the timing cover, and pay attention if your engine starts misfiring or feels sluggish when you accelerate. If you notice black smoke from your exhaust or your engine's overheating, especially if your timing belt drives the water pump, these could be serious signs of trouble. Secret number 8 is about something that costs pennies to fix early, but thousands if you ignore it: oil leaks. Once your car hits 150,000 miles, start paying attention to your rear main seal and valve cover gaskets. And please follow the torque sequence when installing them. The ninth secret is what I call the filter mastery system. Check that air filter every 15,000 miles. Now, the MAF sensor, it tells your engine exactly how much air is coming in. Once a year, give it a gentle cleaning with MAF cleaner only. The cabin filter. That's the one that keeps the air clean inside your car. Change it every 30,000 miles. If you don't, it's like never changing your home's air filter. You'll be breathing in all sorts of nasty stuff. Last but super important, the throttle body. This is like your car's throat. When it gets gunked up, usually around 30,000 miles, your car starts running rough. You know that shaking at idle, like your car's got the hiccups. 9 times out of 10, it's just begging for a throttle body cleaning. And here's secret number 10, something that can make or break your engine's performance: spark plugs. Replace them every 60,000 to 120,000 miles and stick with OEM parts. Here's why I've seen cheap plugs cause misfires that destroyed catalytic converters. That's a $1,500 mistake right there. When you gap those spark plugs, be precise. Even being off by 0.001 inch can affect performance. And please don't over-tighten them in aluminum heads. Secret number 11 is about making your tires last longer, and trust me, this will save you hundreds. Don't wait until your tires hit the legal 2mm limit. Replace them at 4mm. Here's another thing tire shops won't tell you. Any tire over 5 years old needs replacing, even if it looks good. The rubber just breaks down over time. And please, check your tire pressure weekly. Just 5 psi low. That's like throwing away 25% of your tire life. Rotate every 5,000 miles and make sure you're using the right pattern for your car. Front-wheel drive cars require you to rotate the front tires to the rear while crossing them over from left front to right rear and right front to left rear. Rear-wheel drive cars need the rear tires crossed to the front from left rear to right front and right rear to left front, with the front tires moved straight to the back. This ensures even wear and maximum tire life for your vehicle. For secret 12, let's talk brakes. Don't wait for that squealing noise. Replace those brake pads when they hit 3mm. Waiting until you hear that terrible sound means you've worn through too much pad material. This can lead to metal-on-metal contact and expensive rotor damage. I check every rotor for uneven wear because that usually means you've got a sticky caliper. These metal discs need to be smooth and even for proper braking. When the brake caliper gets sticky, it won't hold and release the brake pads properly. Always use high-temp brake grease on those caliper slide pins. These pins need to move freely for your caliper to work right. Regular grease will melt under braking heat and make things worse. Lucky number 13 is all about protecting your engine when it's cold. Never, and I mean never, rev a cold engine above 3,000 RPM. Wait for that temperature gauge to hit normal before you push it. I use synthetic oil in every car I work on because it flows better in cold weather. And forget what your grandpa told you about warming up the car for 10 minutes. Modern engines only need 30 to 60 seconds of idle time before driving. I already have a video on cold start mistakes that you should avoid. Please watch that video till the end as I've packed it with all my best advice to keep your engine running smooth. The 14th secret is crucial if you've got a direct injection engine. These DI engines need regular carbon cleaning. Unlike traditional port injection engines where fuel washes over the intake valves and keeps them clean, DI engines inject fuel directly into the combustion chamber, leaving the valves vulnerable to carbon buildup. When your engine's warm, occasionally rev it to 4,000 RPM. It's like giving your engine a good cough to clear its throat. And if you really want to protect your engine, install an oil catch can. In engines, oil vapors from the crankcase get recirculated back into your intake through the sieve system. Without a catch can, these oil vapors mix with existing carbon deposits on your valves, making the buildup worse over time. This can lead to reduced engine performance and expensive valve cleaning services like walnut blasting down the road. And here's secret 15, especially important if you've got a turbo. After driving hard, let that engine idle for 1 to 2 minutes before shutting it off. Your turbo spins at up to 200,000 RPM and it needs time to cool down. Use only synthetic oil rated for turbos and avoid accelerating hard when in a high gear at low engine speeds. Let me share secret number 16, something that can literally save your car from dissolving away. Every year, I apply an oil spray rust-proofing treatment to the underside of cars, focusing on those suspension mounting points. You wouldn't believe how many cars I've seen break in half because these points rusted out. I use rubberized undercoating on frame rails, and here's the key part most people miss. I treat inside the frame rails through those little access holes. Don't forget the rocker panels and door bottoms. I use cavity wax there because it creeps into every nook and cranny. Moving on to Secret 17, winter protection. This is crucial if you live where they salt the roads. After every winter drive, wash that undercarriage thoroughly. Here's what I do for my customers before winter hits. I apply protective film to any paint chips. Those tiny chips are like rust's favorite entry points. And please use dedicated winter floor mats. I've seen too many floor pans rust out from wet carpets. Secret 18 is all about suspension care. At 150,000 miles, replace those shocks and struts, even if they seem fine. Why? Because worn suspension parts don't just make your ride bouncy, they cause uneven tire wear and stress other components. Only use OEM-grade parts for control arms and ball joints. When you're doing major suspension work, replace all the bushings and get those wheels aligned properly. Misalignment is like wearing shoes with uneven soles. Everything wears out faster. For Secret 19, let's dive into fuel injector cleaners. Here's what you need to know. Modern top-tier gas already contains good detergents to keep your fuel system clean. But if your engine's running rough or you've got an older vehicle, a quality cleaner might help. The trick is knowing which ones actually work. Look for products with polyethylene or PE. Chevron, Techron, and Redline lead the pack with the highest levels of these cleaning agents. Now, if you decide to use a cleaner, here's the right way. Pour it in when your tank's almost empty, then fill up immediately after. This gives you the best mix. But don't overdo it. Using cleaners more than twice a year can harm your seals and pumps. Replace those fuel filters when the manufacturer says to. Here's something most people don't know. Always keep at least a quarter tank of fuel. Your fuel pump uses the fuel to stay cool, run it too low, and you're cooking it. And if you live somewhere hot, replace your battery every 1.5 to 3 years, even if it seems fine. Heat is a battery's worst enemy. If your battery is over 5 years old and gets completely drained even once, it probably won't bounce back to full strength, even after a recharge. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more money-saving maintenance tips coming up. I got questions about your specific car? Drop them in the comments below. I read every single one and try to help where I can. And hey, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It really helps other people find this information. Remember, getting to 300,000 miles isn't about luck. It's about knowing what to do and when to do it. Enjoy your car, and I'll see you next video.